You want to know how to be a good cop in the joint? Work a fucking level 4 yard. But I was hopeless, bro. I think God thought that this guy needs to get taken out of this environment or he's gonna die an alcoholic.
Overcoming struggles with alcoholism or any form of addiction can feel incredibly daunting, especially when coupled with denial or a sense of hopelessness. However, finding faith in oneself and seeking out the right support systems can truly lead to a path of recovery and success. It is often a journey filled with challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt, but with perseverance and the help support of individuals, it's entirely possible to break free from the grips of addiction and creating a fulfilling life. Recognizing that there is a way out and taking the courageous step to seek help are pivotal moments on the road to recovery. And once on that path, maintaining faith in oneself and embracing the support available can lead to a transformative change and a brighter future. We sit down with Jamil Syed, a former correctional officer who transitioned from the confines of maximum security prisons to a life of sobriety and entrepreneurial success. Jamil shares his journey, beginning with his law enforcement career in March of 2008 and his decision to leave the profession in February of 2015. Facing his own battles with alcoholism, Jamil found the strength to overcome his demons and embark on a path to sobriety. Today, he leads a multi-million-dollar drug and alcohol treatment and sober living facility, offering hope and supports to those in need. Tune in as Jamil discusses his remarkable transformation and the fulfillment he finds in helping others through their darkest moments. Welcome to Internal Affairs, a police podcast. Let's go. Okay, we're back, and we're Code 6 with Jamil. Hey, man, thanks for showing up. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, bro. Really grateful.
Before we begin on this really interesting journey that we're going to be talking about, a big shout out to our sponsors. As you may know, I'm a law enforcement instructor for the Savage Training Group. I teach along with my partner, Sergeant James Tacchini, the Internal Affairs and Officer Involved Shooting Investigation course. Look, no death by PowerPoint, not checking the box. You're going to learn a lot. We're going to engage a lot, and you're going to need to take that back to your agency so they can continue that education. We also have the briefing room. It's 90 seconds of just quick briefing to make it easy for you to learn the latest laws as it relates to any type of police functions. We also have Code 4. As you can see, we have coins, challenge coins, patches. Get a hold of them as well. They're very, very good at their product. And last but not least, we have the Titan Group, professional investigations, whether they're workplace complex investigations, internal affairs investigations, and many, many other type of investigations. Please get a hold of the Titan Group. All of their websites are in the YouTube channel. So, without further ado, Jamil Syed. Hey, man. Thank you for coming down. And you know what? I got to put the plug into our boy Hector.
Yeah.
He's the one that told me, hey, man, you know, as he was leaving the studio, I said, hey, do you have anyone else that can talk about the culture of the Department of Corrections and, you know, that has a good eye store? And he goes, oh, I got my man. I got a man for you. And he's not that far. He's closer than me. And so you're here, and I appreciate it. And let's get right to it, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's do it, man. So like anything else, the first segment, we'll start with the importance of IA. So here it is. On a scale to 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, why don't you go ahead and rate the importance of internal affairs in a police department, in the Department of Corrections, and why?
Well, I think a 7, a good 7. I would have said 5, but I 50-50. But I say 7 because I think checks and balances are important. I think that there are some dirty cops out there, and there are people that shouldn't have the job, and I do believe that from an ethical standpoint it's very important, but I just have a hard time with. I could never do that job because I really feel like, you know, morally it would be hard for me.
I beg to ask that you said a 7 and then you said a 5. I get this impression that perhaps not just you, but I would imagine a lot of your coworkers don't really think highly of internal affairs. Is that fair to say?
No, yeah. I mean, I think that a lot of internal affairs investigations are pretty chicken. I think mine was pretty chicken. I think if you pull 10 people out of the joint that I was at and asked them, they probably would have said it was pretty chicken.
Right.
But you know, it's important from a standpoint of moral and ethical side.
Right.
Because there are a lot of dirty cops, and we don't want any of those guys around.
Right.
But I think that when your job is to take another cop's job because he was doing his job, that's tough.
I get it. No, totally. It's interesting how, along with Hector, I just started to realize, and again, you know, I come from a big agency like LAPD, and there's been some guests from different agencies, but when we start talking about the culture of Department of Corrections, it just seems as though the people who are doing these investigations are probably not the most reputable,
qualified,
yeah. Right? And that's true. And I'll get to that too, is the type of job, which leads me to the this next, it's not even a question, it's actually fill in the blanks for me. As an IA investigator, my job is to
take your job away. I have a biased opinion, for sure, but but my experience wasn't, any experience was never very good.
Right.
I don't think anyone's experience with internal affairs is supposed to be good. I think it's probably one of the most stressful, mentally and emotionally and financially draining times for people. Yeah.
And these investigators certainly.
I think a lot of these, the problem that I feel is that a lot of investigators, they somehow, some way along the lines lost that internal, maybe moral, not all of them. I'm not saying all of them because I'm sure there's a lot of, you're in internal affairs, you seem like a good dude.
Yeah.
But,
so
but I think that somewhere along the lines, I think they forgot what it was like to be a line cop.
Yeah.
Or a beat cop.
Absolutely. Yeah. That sentiment shared, not just in your culture, but it's definitely in our culture where you do want certain traits, right? You want someone that's going to be fair and impartial. And I just get this sentiment that probably wasn't the case.
No. I mean, there's very few cops left, bro. Yeah. I mean, you and I both know that. I mean, I say it all the time. Like, you can tell a leader at the top what kind of a cop he was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
I mean, like, I'm just gonna use the county that I'm in, right? I live in Riverside County.
Okay.
Chad's a cop's cop. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he knows what it was like to be a cop, and I think he bases his decision and his leadership off of not only what the right thing to do, but what from a cop's perspective, right? And I think that gets lost. A lot of leadership are politicians, bro. You know, or they try to be.
Yeah.
You know,
totally.
And you know, this doesn't happen all the time, but a lot of people, you know, they'll over people on the way to the top. You know, and I think that happens a lot.
It happens a lot. That's one of several reasons why, you know, we decided to do this podcast to talk about a topic that's just not so favorable. And it's a bit taboo. I'm sure when I called you, you're like, really? Internal Affairs podcast?
Yeah. I know. My was a long time ago, bro. I mean, I've made peace.
Good. And we'll get into that because I know there's going to be a lot that we can learn from it. Okay, so let's go down a trip. I should say, let's take a trip down memory lane.
Walk the tear down memory lane.
Let's do that. Let's get that journey going here. So, March of 2008, you went into the academy.
Yep.
Then you graduated in July of 2008, so it's about a 4-month academy. And then you ended up in Centinela State Prison, which I've heard of the name Centinela. Sounds kind of sexy. I don't know where it is, and you're going to tell me all about it. But let me ask you this: what was academy life like?
Academy life was great. This is no secret. I mean, even to people that I work with or that I know that I knew then, I was a partier. I was a partier from an early teen through my entire career in law enforcement, and it was fun. I had a lot of fun, bro. The academy was like, I did it hungover 50 to 75% of the time. Like most days, I was out. Any liberty we got, I went out and tied one off, came back, and I remember I was just like, I was smoking in there, bro. Like, I mean, I was only 120 pounds, and I was like 21, 22 years old, but I mean, it wasn't very hard for me. There were some things like they had the cadet killer tests and like that, but I didn't really remember having a really hard time. There were some times where I was really worried. Oh, am I gonna pass the test? Am I smart enough to pass the written? But when I realized when I got to the joint, nothing that I learned in the academy mattered.
Isn't that a true saying for everyone? You know, as you're telling me, you know, how this wasn't really hard, and you were out, you know, partying and stuff like that.
The shooting. I think I was a little nervous on the rifle a little bit. I didn't have very much experience on the long gun before that, but yeah.
Well, I had a classmate. I'm not gonna mention any names, but my class was 70 plus. And this dude loved to go out, and I think he was like a musician and just partied, drank, and showed up to work, dude, and aced all the exams and passed it and became a great police officer. So yeah, for some people it's hard. I know academically for me it was real hard because I hated books. You know, I was a high school dropout and I ended up getting my GED. But you know, it's for some people it's kind of hard. So, you know, kudos to you for not having it be that difficult. So, talk to me. Centinela State Prison. We're there in 2008, 2009. Kind of jobs. I mean, what was it like, man?
So I loved working in the joint, bro. I mean, you know, I really enjoyed it for a while. It was like drinking. Like, it was really fun until it just wasn't fun anymore. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I worked every job you could have. My first job, I was in R&R, which is receiving and release. Every inmate, before they leave or enter the prison, they come through there. And you know, call them nuts and butts, bro. You know what I mean? Stripping dudes out all day long. I've never seen so many naked dudes in my life. But that was my first day on the job. That's where I worked. I worked in R&R. And it was exciting, bro. And then I pretty much worked. I think that's kind of how it goes, but you pretty much work every job that the prison has to offer, unless it's like special teams type.
Okay.
But I pretty much worked every job you can think of. But where I ended up working predominantly and staying was on Charlie Yard, which is a level 4, which is like a maximum security general population prison facility.
Okay, yeah. For the people who don't know what a Charlie 4 is,
Charlie Yard is it stands for Facility C, but we would call it Charlie Yard because C for Charlie. But right. It was I loved it. I really did. It was like every day would be like, you know, right before you get on like a roller coaster and you're a kid, like you get going. I remember going into work and it was like butterflies every day because you have no idea what the is gonna go on over there, bro. It was crazy.
Wow.
But
yeah, I can only imagine.
You know, it was exciting. A lot of I was really young, and a lot of my coworkers and supervisors said that they thought I was full of piss and vinegar, and you know, I was always, you know, it was cracking. I mean, we had a lot of incidents, a lot. It was a lot of blood. It was very, very violent.
On and cracking.
Yeah.
Got you. I think I did ask Hector this, but did you get to choose where to go out of the academy, or how does that work?
Yeah, so my dumb ass looked at a map and I saw Centinela State Prison, and then I saw San Diego, and I was like, oh, it's right by San Diego. That's the closest I can get to being home, because I couldn't go to Chino, I couldn't go to Lancaster, didn't want to go to a women's joint. and there was nothing. I didn't want to go to CRC, but I didn't go to CRC because I had a couple people that were like real close to me as like family members, like, but like they weren't like blood, but they worked in the department. Like one guy was an OG, worked at Chino for a long time. I had a really close family friend, Deborah. She like was like a mom to me, but she was a parole agent at this time, so she had like came up through all the joints and all that kind of shit. She started in at Stark, bro, which is a juvenile facility.
Okay.
Anyway, so I had some OGs kind of telling me like, look, like, I really think that you want to know how to be a good cop in the joint? Work a level 4 yard. Go to a desert joint. Learn how to be a good cop first. And if you want to go into parole, you want to promote, you want to do whatever, which were a lot of my goals and dreams, right? Go be a good cop first. And so I saw Sentinella, and I saw on the map, I didn't know that it was 90 miles from. You know, I was 21. I was stupid. I didn't look it up or anything. And I just I was in the middle of a desert, bro. I literally got in. I remember driving there for the first time. My brother-in-law drove me to drop me off with all my.
Is that?
Bro, it's the well, I lived in Upland, so it's the 210 to the 10, all the way out to the 86, then the 86 all the way down, and then to El Centro. Yeah, it was. It was 186.7. It was funny because it was literally 187 miles from my driveway to Sentinella State Prison, the thing, the road, Brown Road is what it was called. And, you know, it was like, you know, you go to work 187 miles, might witness a 187. Yeah, I don't know.
187.
Yeah, but it was a long drive, but it was hot in the summertime. It was cracking. I mean, it was. Yeah, everyone knew that for some reason in the summer, incidents always went up. Like there were way more stabbings, way more of everything in the summer. It was hot, everyone was crazy. The bloodiest happened, bro. The bloodiest stabbings that I witnessed were, we had to get medevacs in, which means the helicopter would have to come and fly into the facility, drop down, pick the person up and fly out, right? And so I went on that, I don't know, somewhere between 6 to 12 times in my career. But every single time that someone got stuck real bad, they would have me go because there was a weight limit. And I was pretty light. You know, I was 120, 140. I weigh 184 pounds now. But when I left the joint, I weighed like the most I had weighed because I'd been working out a little bit. I was like 140, 145. Okay. And so I always met the weight limit. So if a dude got stuck pretty bad, most of the time it was an incident that I was involved in anyway. Oh, wow. So they would send me, and I would get in the helicopter, and we'd fly away. And most of the time, the guys lived. The worst one was the guy got stuck 28 times, bro. He was up. He shit his pants and everything. I mean, he was on his way out.
Right.
Yeah, it was sad.
You lasted until 2015, and I know we're going to get to the next segment about your IA story. Somewhere in there, there was some allegations made against you.
Yeah.
And IA, shows up, and you and I have been talking about this. I want to leave the floor up to you, and you can just kind of tell me, what kind of happened, man.
Yeah, so I was a wild child. I think in my department, I was always getting into some or not like morally or ethically bad, but I mean, I was just like I was a party kid, and I think people that are listening that remember me from that time would probably say the same thing. I always was, but I love to do my job. But I was involved in 3 internal affairs investigations. Okay. The last one was the one that I left for. And what happened was, so there's bits and pieces. So now that everything is over, I know a lot more about what happened to the prior part of it, right? Okay. But during that time, I only knew bits and pieces of what had happened. I didn't know about the prior part, right? I only knew about the involvement that I was in, right? And so I worked on Facility C, like I had said, and there was a guy, a lieutenant that I pretty much worked for my whole career, and he was to people, he was a cop's cop, but he was a egomaniac, Okay. And but most of us are, you know what I mean? I was, but he was good at his job, but he didn't make a lot of friends along the way. He was also the SWAT commander, like Hector was at RJD. Okay. He was the CERT commander for our facility, and you know, he had been involved in a lot of things over a lot of years, and he had his own rap sheet, right? And basically, what happened was that he put his lunch pail in my bag. I was we both had training, which is IST training. Okay. Which means like in-service training, and you have to, you know, you spend the whole week like redoing. It's just like a buffer, right? Your normal annual training, right? You sit in an office, you're not on the line, it's up front, and he put his lunch bag in my car, in my personal car, and you know, I knew the guy, I trusted the guy, I've known him my whole career. I didn't really have any questions of why to ask him why he left his lunch bag in my car. It was like break. We went out. You know, you kind of go out to your car at that time, and he put something in my car, and he put his lunch pail in my car, and didn't really think anything of it. And then he got the lunch pail at the end of the day, and so I thought that's all I knew about at the time. Okay. Well, I guess what had happened was, whenever you say that, it's never good. And I guess he had gotten that there was something in the bag, which was ammunition, right? But he had got it from somebody else. But you know, in an institution, ammunition is always supposed to be locked up, right? It's supposed to always be locked up. Can't have any rounds missing. And to be honest with you, it's like blowing the whistle. Like if you can't find ammo, like it's a big deal in the joint, right? Right. So apparently they're looking for this ammo that somebody gave this guy, right? And he had it in my car, in his lunch pail, and then grabbed the lunch pail. So all I knew was that there was a lunch pail in my car, right? Right. But apparently there was this ammunition that someone had given him, and he was supposed to do something with it. But he was a lieutenant, so I don't really know the backstory of you know why the person gave him the ammunition. And then he just took the ammunition. Well, apparently they were looking for this. So apparently what I was told later on was that the guy that gave him the ammunition went and told somebody else, oh, I gave Lieutenant so-and-so ammunition. And they're like, well, where's the ammunition? Because he was like a dumb kind of. And like basically, you know, when you just go and you like just say too much. Like there's no reason, you know what I mean? Yeah. So this guy basically went and told another cop or another supervisor that he had given ammunition to, and so they were like, oh, where's the ammunition? Apparently it was never locked up, right? Like it was supposed to be. Well, the next day, lieutenant cops to whatever happened, oh, I have the ammunition, here it is, whatever the case may be. Now he has to write a timeline of what happened, right? Okay. So in that timeline, he put the bag, his lunch pail with the ammunition in it, in my car without my knowledge. So now I'm a witness subject. So now they're like thinking, okay, so they're trying to like piece it together. Now what I mean by this chicken, like they're really spending this much resources to figure this out. They already found the ammo, right?
They think you're on. They think you're in it.
Yeah, I think I'm on it. But it's missing out. I mean, it's like they're trying to solve like a cop smuggling dope into the facility.
Oh, it's the biggest felony historically in that facility.
This is my job, right? So I'm thinking, okay, so then they ask me about it. I just tell them the truth, like, oh, I just put shit in he put his lunch pail, like, what do you mean? I don't know what the fuck's in the lunch pail. I didn't look. So now they're thinking, oh, I knew what was in it. Did they look? Did he tell you? You're on it. You're in on it now, right? They're thinking he's in on it. So they say they have the burden of proof. Yeah. And they initiate an investigation. Well, I get the subpoena, and I am a subject, not a witness. Now, you and I both know a witness is a witness. A subject, someone's trying to you in the ass.
You're accused.
Yeah. So I'm like, what the you know? So anyway, so I go to Internal Affairs. I do my interview. I remember it was like these two IA investigators. It was like the clown show, bro. It was like both these guys are trying to like paint a picture of like a story and then just like put me in it. Like, you know, like cops are like interrogating on 48 hours and like, but you did, you know what I mean? And I'm like, pretty young. I'm like 28, 29 years old. Like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I've probably seen more violence on a prison yard than both these cocksuckers combined. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, whatever. So I'm answering their questions, and then he tries to like set me up, bro. And he's like, well, this is a very pivotal moment in your career right now. All you have to do is tell the truth. You knew what was in your car, right? And I'm like, motherfucker, no, I don't know what the f***'s in the car. It was a lunch pail, bro. If this dude put your lunch pail in this guy's lunch pail's car, because there's two of these guys interviewing me, right? I'm like, are you gonna ask him, hey, dude, make sure I look to see what's in your lunch pail? You guys work together every day. What the fuck? Do you really think he's gonna try to f*** you over?
Yeah. Or by the way, hey, when there's some ammo in my lunch pail.
And I think that at the time, I don't know if Val was trying to f*** me over. I think he was just trying to like need to know basis type. I don't know his reasoning. I made my peace with him, bro. I mean, like I said, if you look from the outside looking in, it looks like he f***ed me over, right? Because he basically, I guess people could say he did. But in retrospect, my life is so different today that I don't know what Val did for me. I mean, it was a f***ed up time in my life. Don't get me wrong, but to this day, I don't think Lieutenant Valenzuela is a bad guy. I don't think he's like planned to my career up that day. You get what I'm saying?
Oh no, totally.
I think that that if I was in a really big jam today, and I called him and I was like, "Yo, I need you to roll the up here, like no matter what," he would do it. Right. But it was just what happened, and so I got caught up in that, and so basically what they said was that we have the burden of proof, and so they were trying to get me for conspiracy, which is I conspired with him to know the bag, right? Failure to report misconduct of a superior, right? So they thought that I knew and I didn't tell on him, right? So basically they're trying to me for not telling, right? And unbecoming of a peace officer, right? And then they tried to throw at the end being less than truthful because they said that I didn't, in that moment they basically were trying to say that I lied to the investigator, right? Remember I told you about that pivotal moment type shit? Yeah. I don't know where they got the less than truthful from, but at the end of the day, I was like, so they're like, they push it on the matrix, less than truthful is where they can get me at, right? That's where they can fire you, right? So everything else I don't think is like a
fireable offense.
Yeah, a fireable offense. So I'm like, okay, so they tell me what my options are, right? So they're like, okay, they're going to suspend you. You're going to get suspended. You're going to go. They call me and they put me on ATO. They ask for the badge. They ask for the weapon, all that kind of stuff, right? So now I'm on leave, right? They serve me, but, after they had the internal affairs came back, it basically came back that they're trying to terminate me, right? And I will go before the board, right? Which is an administrative law judge, which is like a hearing, SBB, right? And so I'm like, okay, so now I'm suspended, and I'm gonna go to trial or whatever the hearing is, right? So now I'm like, okay, these are trying to fire me, and I better lawyer up, right? So I have CCPOA, which is California Police Officers, Correctional Officers Association. Okay. They didn't really do anything for me, and I didn't really feel like they were very competent. I didn't feel like I was like, this is my career. I was 29 at the time, so I only had like 8 years in at the time, 8 and a half, whatever. And I was like, I better get somebody good. So I hired private counsel. I fired them, and I hired this old white dude, and he looked like he was gonna probably die in the courtroom, but he killed it. And he him up in there, bro. Like he made him look stupid. And I remember the administrative law judge, every time, like, they threw everything in there. They got all these witnesses. And we could go into, how we talked about people that people over on their way to the top. So they
Yes.
brought all these witnesses, and I brought my own witnesses, and I brought character witnesses, and people, you know, some of the people that I still communicate with today, they came for me, bro. They were good character witnesses, solid dudes, bro. And, you know, dudes that, like, we were in the bro, you know?
Right.
And the administrative law judge has X amount of time to, you know, make his decision. So we like, you just wait now, right? We just wait. And, you know, you got to understand that, you know, in internal affairs, they have 1 year from incident to serve you, right? So they literally waited like 63 days to serve me, bro, right? So I didn't get served till like almost a year, right?
At the 11th hour.
Yeah, at the 11th hour. Then the whole investigation trial, then the whole trial and appeal process took another year, right? So this had happened way back in like the end of 2000, in like the beginning, it's like 2012, 2013. Like it was a long time ago, right? So now I'm suspended. Now I'm off of work. Now I'm going through. I'm just trying to paint a picture of what my life was like back then, right? So now I'm going through. So mind you, let me back up a little bit. So my second internal affairs investigation, I f***ed up. Like I really f***ed up.
Okay.
I got a DUI. So I got a DUI on my Sunday, right? So I was supposed to go to work the next day. So I had been there earlier that year for that, right? But I complied. I was totally cool. Like I had a weapon on me, so like that was the big deal. Like I was intoxicated with the weapon on me, and so I went there for that. So after that happened, I told myself, I was like, look, I really think I got a drinking problem. I mean, I probably had a drinking problem years before that, but I was like, at that moment, this was like before this investigation happened, I was like, I think I have a drinking problem. Like I really need to get this under control. So I told the department and I told my union rep, and I was like, yo, bro, like I need to quit drinking. And they're like, okay. So they send me to rehab, right? And so I take a leave of absence. When I came back from that, because I'd gotten the DUI, so I went to rehab. Then I came back, and when I came back from my leave, that's when this incident happened with him. Because I was at training. So just to give you an idea, right? So mind you, I had just tried to quit drinking for the first time. I was trying to get sober, and then this happened. So now I never stayed sober. Because right as soon as I got back, I got out of rehab, I went back to work, and then this investigation happened like a month later, right? So now I'm like drinking, I'm lying about it, right? Because I'm trying to like, you know, smile. See, I'm an alcoholic, right? So I drink when things are good and I drink when things are bad, right? It's my problem and it's also my solution to life, right? So now I'm just dealing with the biggest thing ever in my life, right? And I'm newly sober, which I'm not sober anymore because I'm like, I'm just going to drink now because I got this going on. But I'm going to lie to everybody and act like I'm still sober, right? And so now I'm in that. So now I'm in this investigation. Now I'm suspended from work, right? And I'm lying about being sober, and I'm a raging alcoholic inside, right? And I'm trying, now that I'm off of work and I'm fighting this I'm drinking every moment I can. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
And so now my life is starting to like spiral. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm like drinking all the time. During that time, I tried to like I was going to AA, right? So in 2012, right before this incident happened, I went to AA for the first time, right? I started to go to meetings. I tried to get sober. But I met people there, right? So now I've met people that I have relationships with, right? People that are trying to help me, right? But I'm being dishonest with them because I've got my work shit going on. I got all this stuff going on. I'm like, life's kicking my ass, you know? Yeah. And so now I'm suspended. I'm off of work. I'm waiting. I have the trial, right? Like I said earlier. I get the judge's clarification back. He says, I'm exonerated of all charges. I am in his opinion, for failure to report misconduct, I should be suspended for 4 months, but I'd been off of work for almost a year already. I'd been off for work. So my time was served. So everything after that 4-month mark of suspension, I should be paid for. So that's back pay, right? So now I'm going back to work and I got back pay coming, right? And I'm like, oh, these hell yeah. Now I'm like, you know, I was thinking what else I could do. You know what I mean? Like, okay, now. But the way that it works, bro, is that the state of California or any agency or anything there's an appeal process to everything. You and I both know that. Inmates get to appeal shit all the time. The state knew that they were into me, right? And this is what I feel. This is like a behind the scenes thing. Like, this isn't something that was like information, but I think they were probably like, okay, the judge ruled in this guy's favor. We can appeal it, and now we're just going to go through the whole process again. And guess what? That costs money, right? This guy's not using CCPO anymore. He has his own personal attorney. So we'll just keep appealing it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, who's got deeper pockets at this time? It's like if somebody wants to go sue a billionaire, and they're just like a regular, sure, sue me, bro. I'm going to bury you in litigation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's probably... You know, I feel like I was going to basically have to go through the whole thing all over again. And that was when, so I got on February 11th, February 8th, I got a certified letter from the state of California. And that was the decision. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going back to work. I'm texting my coworkers. I'm telling all these motherfuckers I'm coming back. I'm up, you know, like, and I'm like at the top of the world because I'm like, I won, and I was right. It was a terrible, you know, like, I got a raw deal. I'm the first person to admit today of, you know, if I had a part in something or if something was my fault. And I think that there's a lot of outside energy I feel like that I was putting into the world of why I left the department. I think that I didn't have the ability to do that job sober. I wasn't equipped, I think. I think God thought that this guy needs to get taken out of this environment or he's going to die an alcoholic. And so, because that's what happened right after that. And so I told all my coworkers, I'm going back. I'm super excited. I'm super grateful. And then I get this, my attorney calls me like on the 10th or on the 8th or the 9th or some shit, somewhere around the days. And he's like, hey, look, like, this doesn't mean shit. Like, they want to do it all over again. Like, they want to appeal the judge's decision. And, you know, it's basically you're going to go to superior court. Wow. Like, there's all kinds of stuff, like, you know, that can happen. And it's who has deeper pockets at this time, right? So I'm like, so what do I do, bro? I go to my solution. So I start drinking. So I buy like a fifth, like I think it was a handle. I bought a handle of vodka. I don't know how I got my hands on it, but I started drinking it. Like the 10th, the 11th, whatever the right? And I just start drinking, bro. And I remember, and I don't remember really what happened. But then people told me what happened. But I remember like waking up in a hospital bed, right? So I'm waking up in a hospital bed. I'm intubated. I have all these. I'm in a critical care unit, bro. Like, this is where you go before you die, right? Like, if you're sick, right? I was on my way out, and I like wake up and I can't move. I'm like sedated, kind of. I got a catheter in me, bro. Like, I'm on my way out. So they told me what happened was that sometime after that happened, right, I started drinking again because I was like, what else am I gonna do, right? Right. And so I wasn't equipped, bro, to handle any life's problems. And so I started drinking. Apparently I was like on a sick one. My family was like, came by the house, or my mom or my sister or something, and they were like, they thought I'd been sober, right? Because, you know, like I told you earlier in the story, I was lying about being sober. I was going to AA. I was telling them that I was like, you know, so they all think that I'm like sober, but then they walk into the house and this show, right? There's like, you clearly know this guy's drank again. It's like the scene from fucking Flight, bro,
Yeah.
with Denzel Washington when they walk in the hotel room in the morning
Mm-hmm.
and they just like, oh, he got drunk again, you know?
Wow.
That's kind of what happened in my kind of scenario, right?
Wow.
And so I wake up. I just remember waking up that day, like before I went to the hospital. Like, this is the bits and pieces that I remember. I remember waking up and being like, holy, like my car keys are gone, right? So someone came, took away. They're like, but this guy's, we can't let him at least drive, right? And they left.
Yeah.
And so I'm like frantically calling my best friend, who's my business partner today. And I'm like, tell him to come pick me up. I got to get out of here. They know I started drinking. I remember that part, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then he picks me up, and that's all. I don't remember anything after that. Then now we're back to the hospital situation, right? So I wake up in the hospital. I'm like, what the happened? So basically, I was in there for 4 days, okay? And so I was in there for 4 days because my heart failed from a blood alcohol level of 0.54. I died an alcoholic death, right? So in my friend's car. Basically, I was in my friend's car. I passed out in there. He was like, oh, like, I don't know what to do. He's passed out. Maybe he'll just wake up. So I guess I woke up, and I tried to, like, walk into the house, but, like, my legs weren't working, and I was so up that I just fell and I hit my head. And I knocked myself out is what they told me. But apparently my blood alcohol level was so high that like my heart wasn't working correctly. So I just collapsed right there in his lawn. And so they called the paramedics. The neighbors knocked on his door, Joel's door, and were like, hey, dude, there's like some dude in your driveway that's dying right now. And he was like, oh, he was just in the car. Like, what do you mean, you know? And so I get to the hospital, and they're basically what they told me was that they were trying, like, Joel said, like, I don't really know exactly, but, like, they were doing CPR on me somewhere between, because they cut my shirt off on the driveway. And so I went into the hospital. So now I'm in the hospital for 4 days. I wake up, and I'm like, how the get here? Who knows I'm here? And I'm like, kind of trying to get out of the bed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to get out of the bed. And so the nurse is like, she's like, you know, I hate it when people like you come in here and take up a bed for someone that could really be sick, you know? And I'm just like, what does that mean? And, you know, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how I'd gotten there. I didn't know, like, how to get out. I just knew that they told me that I drank too much, and that's why I was there. And so, you know, it was like the second, third day, and then finally, like, the third day, like, people came and visited me, and there were people from the rooms of, like, the 12-step program I had been going to. And so, you know, and I remember, like, the first night she came in, the nurse was real pissed because she was, like, upset that, like, someone could really be, like, real sick, and I was taking up the bed. And she told me, she's like, you know what, honey, I don't know what you did, or I don't know your story, but she's like, I made a lot of calls, like, in my career where I was telling people that their family member was on their way out. And I've never got a response that, well, is he dead or is he alive? And they were like, well, he's alive, but we don't know. And they were like, okay, well, call me if he dies.
Wow.
You know? Because, like, my family had, like,
Yeah.
gotten to the fact where they're like, oh, this dude might die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was up. So, you know, I ended up, that was like the end, right? So then I got out of the hospital, and I was like, oh, like, damn, I don't know how to live. I don't want to die, you know? And so, like, my family didn't have nothing to do with me. And so people from the rooms of AA came and picked me up, took me out of the hospital. You know, they, like, gave me a place to stay. And my sponsor at the time, he was, like, trying to help me get sober. He was like, here's $20, bro. Like, I don't know what we're going to do with you. Like, we're going to try to get you into rehab. We got to do something with you, bro, because, like, you just died. Like, we can't even let you out. So he gave me that $20, bro, and I was like, and he's like, you know, you need to buy some Del Taco. You need to buy some food. Like, I smoked cigarettes at the time, pimp sticks. So I was like, you know, he's like, buy some cigarettes. And I had a moment, bro, where, like, no one was around me, bro. And I took that $20 and I bought vodka with it. And I started drinking again.
Mm.
Yeah. I was hopeless, bro. You know? And so, you know, I didn't know how to live. I didn't know how to die. I was like, I can't even be, like, sober for a day, bro, you know? And so, yeah, I hate this.
Yeah.
But, I was hopeless, bro. Yeah. But
If I may interject, let me ask you, Jamil, do you think faith has it that God did all this to put you where you're at today?
Yeah, for sure.
Because
that was my lowest point, bro.
Because I honestly feel, knowing your story, the little that I know you, and you know, you're like your brother to me, and I can share your sentiment because I do have family that has gone through.
Yeah.
You know, and what makes you so strong is the fact that what you're doing now
For sure.
is, I mean, that's God's work.
Yeah,
And
I'm grateful for that.
And it's instrumental.
Yeah.
I believe, this is just me from knowing your story, is he used you as an instrument to get to where you're at today. And you know what? You probably didn't even know that when you were going through all that.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the power of faith, you know, of believing that when you're rock bottom, you know, he's there to pick you up and move forward. I can't begin to thank you for sharing such a story that that, you know what, it's not even about us, because there's someone out there that's listening, that's probably going through the same thing you're going through in one of 30 plus correctional facilities.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, you know, and what I learned was, you know, alcohol. You know, there's over a 70% alcoholism rate in law enforcement, bro. Whether it's, you know, CO, fucking cop, deputy, whatever the fuck. The alcoholism rate is insane, bro.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was the turning point. So, you know, I ended up getting. I didn't know how to do it anymore, you know, and so that guy. So I ended up drinking again, and I remember. I was at someone else's house and he called me and I called him and I've been drinking again, right? So you know, it's like people that drink, bro, and are sober, they know when people are drinking. You can just tell by the way they're talking, you know. And so I told him, you know, I said, what do you think I should do? And he said that, you know, what we're doing isn't working. I've been trying to help you for 3.5 years. And, you know, you can't get this thing. And you're a garden variety alcoholic. And I think a person like you needs to be taken out of their environment and put into a place where you can just dry out and get physically sober. And he's like, so honestly, bro, I think I wouldn't recommend this. I tell most people to go to AA, but I think you should go to rehab. You need to go to rehab for like a while. And so I was like, okay. So I picked up the phone and I called, and he said, and there's another guy in the rooms of this program, and I think you should call. His name is Matt. I think he can help you, because I can't help you anymore. Like, what I'm doing isn't working, and you just died. And I can't go to your funeral and look at your, like, family and, like, be like, oh, I tried the best I could. You know what I mean? And so, you know, he was like, you know, you need to call this guy, and I think that you need to get sober. And so I called that guy, and his name was Matt. And I was like, hey, bro, do you think you can help me, you know? And he was like, are you willing to go to any lengths to stay sober? And I was like, I've heard that so many times. Yeah. But, like, in that moment, I was just like, bro, like, I don't even care. Like, I just want to not drink vodka at 5 o'clock in the morning, because that's what I'm doing right now. And, like, I can't stop shaking. Like, I have restless leg syndrome. Like, I throw up if I don't have booze, bro. Like, I'm like a heroin addict with alcohol.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, I think you need to go to treatment, bro. I think you need to call me when you get there. And so I called my mom, who had owned and operated treatment centers all over Orange County, largest, and she implemented the program that I have today, originally with the state. And so I called her, and I was like, you know, I didn't talk to her, because mind you, she didn't come see me. Yeah. I didn't want to talk to her. She didn't call me. So, like, I hadn't talked to her in like almost 2 weeks, because I was in the hospital, and then I was doing my thing a little bit. So now we're like on the 15th, 16th of February, right? Like almost a week later. And she's like, I'm like, do you think you can help me? She answered, and I was like, you know, I think I really need some help. Like, do you think you could just help me one last time? And she was like, okay, let me see if I can make some calls. So she called, and she got me into a facility, and we didn't want the department to know, because they already knew I was up. So they were like, we can't let this guy know they went. So she was basically asking somebody to give me a $30,000 gift, which was 30 days of treatment.
Right.
And so she found somebody, because she was in the industry, and they took me to rehab. But I was so sick and so physically dependent on booze, bro, that I had to drink one last time before I went to rehab. So that morning I woke up again. I bought a pint of vodka. I chugged the whole thing behind an alley behind a dumpster, and I ran to the next street over to meet my mom, and I got in her car and went to rehab.
Wow.
Yeah. So, man, I've been sober since. Well, I had a seizure because I was physically dependent on booze. So I had a seizure when I got to rehab. They had to rush me to the hospital again, get me physically okay, and then I came back to detox, and I stayed for 90 days.
How long has it been since you had a drip?
9 years. Yeah,
Good
it took
for
9
you.
years. Yeah, so that's the story. So that's what that's my internal affairs investigation. You get what I'm saying? That's what my life was like.
If I may interject, I think that this IA, as chicken that it was,
Yeah.
got you to what it
Yeah.
got you to what it is that what you're doing now.
Yeah. No, it's no doubt. It was God's work for sure. Yeah, I don't know. But like I said, I mean, it was all kind of, yeah, it all happened for a reason, you know, and I'm not angry. I'm not even resentful, bro. Like,
Right.
I thank my grace of God, bro. I'm doing better than a lot of people that we're investigating.
Yeah.
Bro. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, you know, I'm grateful I get to help people today. You know, I own a drug and alcohol treatment center now. You know, we have like 75 beds across the board, 13 locations. You know, we help a lot of people, bro. And
Wow.
you know, we have a lot of stuff coming up. I also got into the fitness industry. A
Yeah,
little bit,
no,
so I'm a
I've been
franchise
checking you
owner.
out, man.
Yeah. So, you know, I just got really busy after I got sober, bro. I got really busy. I didn't really, you know, I kind of left that life, you know. I just, I was like, you know, I wanted to go back to being a cop. I went through backgrounds to RSO a little bit. They even said it was a chicken shit fucking investigation. But I started my first little sober living home, bro, because I just want to help people. And I was unemployable. That was the thing. I started my first sober living home because every job that I applied to that was entry level, they were like, wait, this guy was a peace officer? He made 100 something. We got to hire him. No one would hire me, bro. No one would hire me because my dumb kept putting my prior job. And finally, I applied to Hoag Hospital 94 times online, bro, that they called me and they gave me a job. And I was working in an emergency room. And I was just trying to be a worker amongst workers, bro. $18 an hour job, picking up human no, whatever, cleaning the it was terrible, bro. But I loved it, and I was grateful, and I had a job, and thought I was going to go to nursing school, and I didn't end up going. I hated nursing school. I had no bedside manner coming from a level 4 prison yard, you know? And I was like, you got to be nice to people? What the I'll just grab this and make them do it, you know what I mean? And
You couldn't adjust?
Yeah, I couldn't, bro. I had an identity problem. That was the biggest thing that I had when I got sober was I had an identity problem. I thought I was better than people.
Yeah.
I used to get fights in AA meetings, bro. I used to drag people out of their windows of their cars, bro. My first year of sobriety, like I was an angry person, bro. I was a mess, bro. And you know, people in the rooms helped me, bro. You know, they helped me. They helped me. Like they were like, dude, you can't live like you can't do this anymore. You can't just, you know, it's like in the institutions, bro. You tell somebody to do something, and if you don't do it, then you know what happens next. So.
Wow. Look, God, I just can't begin to thank you for sharing all that. But we got to get to the next segment. Look, you got to give me something worse. Worst incident that happened in your career.
Worst incident. So for me personally, for like the worst thing that goes the worst for me was one of my academy mates got stabbed in the neck, and I responded to that incident. That was the worst. That was the worst thing that could happen to someone like Korea was like a brother to me, bro.
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
he's still alive, but he
Good.
was like my brother.
That was,
you know what I mean?
that was
Like,
my next question. How is he now?
No, but you know that was tough. I responded to that alarm, and that was sad, bro. I'm just glad that guy didn't kill him. You know.
What about best?
That was the worst. But from a violent standpoint,
Yes.
I've seen a lot of people get stabbed to death in front of me, bro. You know, so the worst one was, it was kind of up because I kept seeing, because I couldn't get this guy's face out of my head for a while. But basically this dude there was a 2-on-1 stabbing, which is very normal for a level 4 yard, which is 2 guys stabbing 1 guy. They really want to kill him. So they're putting work in on this dude, and they put it, and it's on yard 2. So you have to like, we have to respond, and it's so the way the yards are set up is they're segregated. Even the yards, the one big yard that is normally for people, they segregate that because the isolated incident. So they're stabbing the shit out of this in the corner of yard 2, which is like they know that that's going to be the longest response time, right? And and so I was always fast, so my ass gets through the gate first, and I get through there, and they're stabbing this guy, and I'm like, dude, the gunner's got to be he's going to shoot soon. He's going to shoot soon. Like, he's going to shoot before I get there. Like, I'm thinking in my head, and one of my coworkers, he's passed away from cancer, but he comes running out the building because he responding. So all the buildings respond and the yard cops respond, right? So he comes out of the building, so he's gonna be the first one there, just because it's over there by the building,
right? So
he comes out, and these dudes are stabbing this dude, bro, and he comes out, and we start using force. I think I threw a grenade, someone threw a grenade, and you know, the Mexicans and the whites, they don't stop fighting or stabbing until use of force is done. It's like the warrior, I went till the end. Okay. So you can't just tell them, hey, get down on the ground, and they'll get down. You have to use force, or you have to get shot or something.
Right.
So they finally use force, and this dude's like the victim's still like walking around, but the suspects go down. His adrenaline's going so hard, right? So but he's like aimlessly walking, bro, like deliriously.
Okay.
And I'm like, what the So like we trying to get him down. He's not listening, bro. Like it's almost like it's not like he doesn't want to.
Right.
It's just that he's not.
Coherent.
So we had to hit him, bro. So we hit him, and we hit him with the baton to get him down because he wouldn't get down and he wasn't listening. So like the responding staff, they cuff up the suspects, and I cuff up the victim. So I put the victim, and so I'm like, I put him on, and like he's starting to like get real stiff, bro, you know. And I'm like, what the? So everyone comes responding. I'm already calling for medical. Like I always know to call for medical, like before someone calls for medical, because there was weapons involved. Like ambulance needs to come. Like send it already, you know. So they go to roll this dude over, and they're like, oh, it's fine. I was like, that's the suspect. I'm like, that's the victim. Blah blah blah. They're like, oh, roll him over. I roll him over, bro. Dude's like he's like in the process of taking his last breath, bro. Like he's blue, like he's fucked up. And I'm like, but there's no blood. Like it's not bloody. Like it's the least bloodiest incident I've been involved in. And I'm like, where the all the blood? Like how the is this dude like dying? You know what I mean? So my sergeant's like, dude, take the cuffs off. They're gonna have to put this 80 on this guy. So the nurse starts doing CPR on the yard, bro. And when you start doing CPR, like all the inmates are like, what the you know what I mean? Like this dude's fucking out, bro.
Yeah.
And he died right there, bro. And you know, and he died right there, and you know, it was up.
Yeah.
And so what happened was that they basically it was a bone crusher. So when they were hitting them, they were hitting them right here, which is under the armpit, and like right on this side though, right? That's where the heart is. So they were going for the organs, and it was a bone crusher weapon, which means like it was designed to do some damage, bro. And so you know that was up. That was up because you know. I just never like seen somebody like my dad died when I was 16 and I was there for that cancer, but I never seen a person like take their last breath from being murdered, you know?
Well, how long ago was this?
I don't know, bro. It was like sometime there was so many like that, bro.
Yeah, no, I mean the point I'm trying to make is, you know, here you are, I don't know what.
Oh yeah, it was like 10 years ago for sure, at least.
10 years later, and look, it's still vividly is in your mind exactly how it went down.
Yeah, bro. I just remember, like, you know, when he's like not quite blue yet, but on his way. Yeah, it was fucked. I had to take the handcuffs off real quick, fast, you know, because they could do, you know, it was tough. And it's a human person, bro. I mean, you get it, whatever, but it was fucked up.
Give me best.
The best. I had a lot of good times, bro. The best probably was the people that your best. What happened out there? My best is some of the people that I met there, bro. I love those guys, bro. One of my sergeants just retired a couple summers ago, and I flew down there to go see him, and solid dudes, bro. There's like a handful of guys from Sentinella, bro, that like I don't talk to on a regular basis, but I love those dudes, bro, and I'll do anything for them.
The clique and the camaraderie is just
and the things that I learned, bro, and just like, you know, just like you got to find humor in things, bro, and it's like, you know, I learned so much about life there, bro, you know.
That's what it's all about. I really do believe that. Hey, Jamil, you know what? I know I said this already a couple of times, but my heart goes out to you, man. To do what you're doing now. We're ready at the end. We're about to conclude. Look, I'll leave the floor up to you if you have a message for anyone who's trying to be a correctional officer, trying to get into law enforcement.
Yeah.
Whoever's watching, listening, that's there now, or what can we learn, or what advice do you have?
Yeah, I think that the public perception is bad for law enforcement, but I think being a cop is a very honorable and respectable job. I loved it. I got into it because it was a respectable job, and there's a lot of honor in being a cop. If you want to be a cop, I would not recommend going to CDCR or CDC, because you can do a lot more good with other agencies. I just think that you should have a different experience, and being a CO is it's not for everybody, bro. You know, it's a very violent, dark line of work, and it'll change you, bro. It will change you. But if you do decide to go, I would say you should go for CHP. They're gonna kill it, bro. They do a great job. They have great benefits. That's my little thing. If I could do it all different, I could all over again. That's what I would do.
That's right.
But my main message is, if you're in law enforcement especially, but if you're struggling with a substance abuse problem or an alcoholism, just know that there's a solution. And I know that if you're a cop, specifically a first responder, and you have a drinking problem, I really, really know how you feel, and I could help you, And I think that, a lot of cops, they don't want to talk about their problem or say they have a problem because they don't want to get taken out of work. They don't want to lose their peace officer status. They don't want to go through that. But it will save your life, bro. And I can't tell you, my life just exploded after I quit drinking. I'm a real alcoholic, though. You might not be, but I'm just saying that if you're an alcoholic or a drug addict, or I feel like if you think you have a problem, I would suggest that you ask for help. And more cops are killing themselves today than known record ever. Yeah. And I think that a lot of it has to do with it could be also stem from an underlying substance abuse problem. Maybe you have a drinking or a drug problem. Maybe that's a lot of these guys commit suicide when they're under the influence. They got to do that to get the courage to do it. Yeah. So if you're struggling with that, I would say get some help. And you can help. I'll help you. Reach out to me on Instagram, and I'll help you, bro. I'll do everything I can to help you.
Which brings me to that. So how do we get a hold of you, man? Tell me about this sober living home, this operation you got going on.
Yeah. So I have. So we have sober. Started as a sober living. We're a full-on drug and alcohol treatment center now. Every level of care. We specialize also in reentry programs. So we help. Everyone wants to talk about the problem. Everyone wants to push the problem away. Yeah. Crime and all that, and the recidivism rate, all that, a lot of it stems from alcoholism, drug addiction. A lot of these crimes are being committed under the influence, or because people are dope sick, or because they need to get something to get their next fix. But if we try to fix the problem, right, that's what we're trying to change society here. We're trying to help people, right? We're trying to help people be better. And I think that there are people out there that want to be better. I was one of them. And I think that everyone deserves a second chance. And I think that if you want to be better, there's a solution to your problem. It's alcoholism or substance abuse. So, we also offer a reentry program for convicted felons, and we help drug and alcohol offenders with their substance abuse and alcohol problem, and we give them the tools so that they don't have to continue to commit crimes and come back into the prison system and use taxpayer money over and over and over again. You know what I mean? So we're trying to help people. Well, not only we're trying to help all people, but we're trying to help also people that no one wants to help. Yeah. And they just want to talk about the problem and push it away. And that's how I feel. We're gonna change society and make a mark on this world, is not only doing the things that we can to help people, but also doing the things to help people that no one wants to help.
you are doing God's work, man. Thank you so much for everything. I'll leave the website and your
you can find
Instagram
me
handle.
on Instagram, yeah. Cop turns entrepreneur.
Yeah, and I'll leave all that stuff on the description of the episode. Hey, man, you've gained a friend. You know, we're boys for life. Thank you for coming down, and we're gonna wrap it up. And like always, you know what? Please be safe out there, and don't forget to go Coach 6. Thank you.